All right. Welcome to Back It Up. How we doing? We got your host right here, Corey Winkoff, accompanied by the great Mike Silipo of Boston University, as well as John Odierna of Manhattan College, the Jaspers, two associate head men's lacrosse coaches in Division I, about to drop some knowledge on you today. We got a great show in store. We're throwing out drills on drills on drills to help you grow as an individual lacrosse player. Something that you should be salivating over if you're a coach of any level or just a kid who wants to get better in his backyard, which you got to be doing at this point if you want to get better. So we'll be doing that. I'm pretty excited. Coach Odierna, how you feeling over there?
Corey, I didn't realize you went on maternity leave and came back with a random accent.
It's sick. Yeah, backyard.
Yeah,
Betty in the backyard.
The Jaspers in your backyard.
How we doing? Yeah, this is good. How you doing? How's the baby? Talk to us about it.
Baby's good, man. We got a stick in his hand already. He's good. He's got pretty big mitts, surprisingly, because my hands aren't very big. So when he came out, I was like, okay, like he's gonna probably be able to sling it a little bit. I was pretty excited about that.
Is it a defenseman or ex-attackman? What are we thinking? Goalie?
He's gonna play every position. I think getting a pole in his hand, around 5th, 6th grade, just to see how to work with it a little bit, I think will be good. I might have to send him to like an overnight camp in the Bronx for Coach Odierna to get his mitts on him. I think that might be nice.
Ooh, maybe we make him like a pole that plays with a schlong, like the mini long pole.
Ooh,
like kind of an in-between hybrid stick, and then he can play like a little bit of offense and be just a dynamo with the pole in the middle of the field.
He could be a long pole attacking, just saying.
Yep.
Yeah, you never know. But listen, most importantly, you got to love the game, because if you do, then the rest is history.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Well, Corey, it's good to have you back. We'll fill you in. You missed out. We recorded with Coach Madalon from Princeton and Coach Dinolfo from Tufts. So those are fun interviews, but we did miss you. We did talk about you in both. So we did have fun with that, but it feels very good to have the third leg of the tripod back.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate that, John, the kind words. I missed you guys. I was thinking about you. I was a little radio silent. So, being that we didn't get the full scoop, give me a takeaway from each episode. Like, what's something that you got from Coach D at Tufts and Coach Mads, who's the man at Princeton?
I thought it was kind of cool listening to Coach Dinolfo, just a totally different approach. It was our first NESCAC coach that we've had on, and it's just such a whole new perspective on how much time they have with their guys, starting later, no fall ball, the amount of control and pressure that puts on the players to grow themselves to some extent. I thought that was really cool. And then obviously Coach Madalon, we were all connected with. He coached against the player Mike Silipo, and him and I both coached at Stevens. So it was cool to kind of go down memory lane. We got to watch some film that Silipo pulled of himself from Ithaca, being a hero.
We came out on top, Corey. We came out on top. Silipo Bombers.
Were you on? Heads up. How did Slip play in the game?
Great.
He made sure to show only highlights of himself, so no one is surprised.
Well, if you check the box score, I don't think there's many turnovers under number 10's stat line here.
I think
not many points either, but that's all right.
Coach Madalon threw a jab that 10 didn't make the scout when they were playing.
It's pretty priceless, actually. Yeah,
it was good.
So it's all good. He was coaching defense at the time, so when we buried them both times, Coach Mads had to take it from Coach Peluso.
Yeah,
great. What else, John? Come on, you're the academic here. What else did we do?
I mean, I thought that was a pretty good recap. Coach Mads gave us a lot of insight. We got to watch kind of like a high-flying game with them in Virginia. I'm still catching my breath from the action. It was up and down. It was pretty wild. And then Tufts, what did we watch? Tufts versus Amherst, same deal. It was a 25-15 final, but we saw like 12 goals in 6 minutes. It was wild.
Yeah, it was nuts. A lot of how you doing, a lot of turn and rake,
Yeah.
It was appropriate.
So, no need to back it up.
No need. Well, Cor, why don't you dial us in what we got going here for the fans, for the people?
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about, just growing as an individual. We got some drills. I'll be showcasing about winning your matchup offensively, defensively. Coach O and Coach Slip will be firing off some drills at you too, which is pretty cool. And we get to kind of dive into the film room. We're going to watch a great game between Penn, or not Penn State versus Penn State. There is a T-shirt in the bookstore that says not Penn State, as they are very. Just a little side note: when I was at school there, a lot of people would mistake and be like, "Hey, how's Penn State?" And I never would correct them because it's actually pretty awesome to go to Penn State too. So like, why correct someone? Like, yeah, the football team's doing good. How you doing? I caught a bunch of tailgates. I had a great fall. Either way, we're gonna be breaking that game down, which is pretty cool. So I'm excited to point out and check out some of the best and most talented kids in college lacrosse, and maybe talk about some ways that they're successful on the field individually. And then I know Coach Jo and Coach Silipo always talk team concepts, and we'll be talking about the higher level concepts of the game, which will always be intriguing there. So I think without further ado, do you want me to dive into the first segment here, which is our drill?
Yeah, let's get your legs back. Let's get those legs back.
Lead us off.
My legs are a little wobbly. I don't know how I'm going to do on these 300s. All right, here we go. This is just an example of Coach Dunn and I, who I work alongside with, just kind of breaking down and explaining how drills work. A lot of times we create these videos and we send them out to our players, so that way when you get to the field, you can kind of get right into the action. I don't love taking too much time explaining when you're on the field, especially when you're renting a space for an hour. You only have so much time, right? You're getting in and out. So in terms of us explaining the nuances of a drill, we do that in videos like this, and we send it to our kids beforehand. So that was just an example of me talking about a ripping up, ripping down, versus a defenseman, depending on how he's playing you. Is the head of his stick upfield? Is he in a V-hold? So those are little nuances we look for so that we can make our players successful from a one-on-one perspective. So first drill we're going to dive into is called Canadian one-on-ones. Simply because Canadians are great at playing, in tight, are great at playing with guys on their front arm, playing with contact, and also using contact to their advantage. So in this particular case, you try to put a defenseman in a good position where he's kind of taking away top side. We use the little nubs so that way they're really focused on using their hands and getting under attackmen's bottom hands and making sure to use their feet and use their angles and drive guys and push them, as opposed to using the area between their top hand and the head of their stick, which is pretty dangerous territory for a defenseman if you have a savvy attackman on you. And then offensively, we're just working on little moves to be successful in tight when you have contact. So rips, rockers, inside rolls, things along those lines, and that's kind of what we're working on here. So let it roll, right? Play to a shot. That particular drill was set up at the 5x5. You can, of course, set those up in different areas of the field. So that's our Canadian one-on-ones. And I love that drill. You can do it on the right side, the left side. You can throw poles in the defenseman's hands. You can throw a short stick in their hands, and you can work on a lot of different things. Next up, this is a favorite of ours. We do it in a bunch of different places on the field, typically doing it off a pass. This is called figure 8 one-on-ones. All right, the drill is set up where you have an attackman and a defenseman kind of back to back, kind of where this defenseman's standing. The offensive player runs around the cone furthest from the goal. Defensive player runs around the cone closest to the goal, taking a topside approach. Right, so defensively, you're working on approaching, getting your stick out, making sure you're kind of forcing guys to where you want to, where you want them to go. So that way you're kind of in line with your defensive principles. And then offensively, we love catching off of a pass because that forces you to go from catching that pass and having your head turn to then turning your head, surveying that approach, and then reading it from there. So in this particular case, we're attacking from kind of that high wing area. This guy's going to catch it, read the approach, and then make a move. All right, so
yeah. I love that off the catch. Make them catch the ball. Make them read the approach. That's really good. We do all our stuff off the catch. I think that's super valuable. Catching the ball is important. Last I checked.
Underrated.
Yeah, Corey, I'm with you there too. I think defensively, I like to do a lot more approaching off a pass rather than a stagnant approach. I think that's the part that gets lost a lot in one-on-one drills and at camps and stuff like that, is people want to just rapid fire, no off the catch, no off the pass. And to me, that's 50% of playing one-on-one defense is how you approach it. So love that drill right there.
Yeah, and if a defenseman's doing the right thing, I'm sure, Jo, you'll notice guys are catching passes with, maybe a stick in their chest or under pressure, which is something that you have to work on as an offensive player. And I think, the more comfortable you get with your skills, again, wall ball helps with that stuff, but you got to practice it in kind of a real game setting. So This is our funnel one-on-ones. So the way this drill is set up, all right, I'm going to go back here just a half second. Hopefully you can see. Offensive players starting back-to-back with that defensive player. Only difference is from figure eight one-on-ones, you kind of have options now, and we've kind of created a funnel with where our offensive players have to dodge after they work their way around one of the three spots. So in this particular case, you can come around top center, top left, top right. That defenseman has two cones to pick from, which one he's going to get around and kind of work on that approach. And the biggest thing with this drill, all right, so I'll let it roll for a second, then I'll freeze it. All right, so this offensive player is trying to make his move, kind of like that Oklahoma drill between those that little funnel of cones. So that way we're really working on getting to the pipes when we dodge downhill from top center or from those high wings. A lot of guys have a tendency to avoid contact and dodge towards the corners of the field or the sideline. This kind of forces you to create contact first, throw that first punch, get downhill, and hopefully have a good angle if you want to maybe get into your guy, bounce for a shot, maybe create separation, get a shot, etc. And then defensively, we're just trying to force him outside that funnel. So that way we're getting them down the alley. All right, we're taking away the middle of the field. We're kind of staying on that back hip if he decides to dodge downhill and dodge down the alley and don't let him roll back. And we're using nubs in this particular case just so we're emphasizing footwork and using our hands. So that's a good example of that offensive player, kind of get into him. Again, parable one-on-ones. This drill is created by Coach Dunn, and he's a fantastic defensive coach who does a really good job making defensive drills fun, which I'm sure you guys know a lot of times it's tough to do that when you don't have offensive players to go against. So the way he runs his Paraball series, which he has a bunch of them, is, this drill is starting out as just like an advantage one-on-one. And when this offensive player, who's actually a defenseman without a stick, drives above goal line, he has two options. He can either try to inside roll and get to that laundry basket and drop, he has like a tennis ball in his hand, and drop it in there, which in that particular case would be really good for that on-ball defenseman because that's really where we want to force guys. We want to turn them at goal line and get them to kind of inside roll where we have help. Or you have the option, as you can see at the 5x5, we have another laundry basket where you can kind of try to get to for, maybe 1 point as opposed to, getting to that lower side for 2 points or however you want to, mess around with the points there. So this is a really good drill, again, to work on turning guys at goal line. It's a really good way to keep your defensive guys engaged. It's also a good way to get your defensemen to kind of understand where offensive players want to get to on the field when they're dodging from X. So you kind of like can see the game from their perspective. So that's our Powerball series, and you can do these from all different areas. You can do them from low wings, high wings, X, etc. And a little
body bag.
I like it.
Little body bag. How you doing? All right, advantage one-on-ones.
Ready?
We do this drill a lot. It's really nice from an offensive perspective to learn what to do when you have a step on your defenseman. For a lot of reasons, the biggest thing is, if you're quick and you're shifty and you do a good job getting into the defenseman, you're going to get a step on him. It's like, okay, now what do you do with that step? How do you turn the corner and get a good shot off and score? How do you shoot around your defenseman? How do you bounce, shoot off his shoulder? How do you draw a slide and make the right decision with the ball in your stick? Also, when you have an advantage, a lot of times defensemen, they're now trying to catch up and get under your bottom hand. So how do you protect your stick, pin your bottom hand if you have two hands? How do you go from one-handed to two-handed cradling? So a lot of great concepts there. And then defensively, it's like, okay, you're trailing a guy. Like, that's okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. Like, what do we do here? So that way you don't make that trail technique or that trail position into like another 3 feet of separation where you have no shot of getting under a guy's hands, disrupting a shot, and you're forced to kind of, slide when you don't really want to. So that's why we do our advantage one-on-ones here. So this is a good example of a little rocker step. Kind of gets the defenseman to hesitate, shoots around him for a goal. All right. It's a good defensive rep where he's kind of in his V-holds. Does a good job kind of taking away the top side there and getting under that hand. Forces a turnover. So
no dice.
No dice. Get out. Last one. Seal one-on-ones. All right. So this is a pretty cool drill in that now defensemen have to kind of get through a seal, find their man, make a good approach, get their hands out, and play defense one-on-one. Offensively, you're kind of working on maybe popping off the crease, catching a pass, reading an approach, and then attacking the goal. So some similar concepts you'll see here to those figure eight one-on-ones, but now we're kind of talking about like that area of the field that kind of goes unnoticed when, the ball's maybe on the opposite side of the field. But if you do some good things there and you understand how to play, when you are off ball or when you're popping to the weak side, I think you can be really effective as a dodger, and you can also be buttoned up as a defender. So that way, if a seal comes, for example, right here, how does this defenseman get through that seal? That's a technique that, maybe doesn't get taught as much. So we try to work on that, how to position your stick, how to kind of scrape them and kind of shed that little seal there. And how do you find your man right away and approach appropriately so that way you don't get smoked to the top side there. So that's our seal 101s. All right, catch the pass, attack. I gave some love to the defenseman for you, Jo, because typically I show the offensive guys scoring goals in these drills, so I thought you might appreciate that.
Yeah, I did appreciate that. There's a first time for everything.
Ah,
A lot of good stuff there. I like a lot of the disadvantage the defense has on a lot of it, or a lot of the reacting the defense has to do. Plus, it's all a little outside the box compared to what people generally do.
so this is just, I'm going to give you three simple drills. This first one we call follow the leader. So you can see here, we kind of set up cones on the restraining line all the way down, on the end line all the way down that match each other. And then in between the two lines at about 5 yards, in and 5 yards up, you kind of create those angles so that you can work dodging angles and dodging moves. We call this follow the leader simply because here's the leader, here's our man following. So there's two aspects to the drill. Number 10 here is going to make a move on this cone. Obviously, he can go right or left. His follower is going to need to make the same move. So it's emphasizing two things. He's got to have his head up as a dodger. You'll see a lot of high school guys, a lot of youth kids with their feet down, their head down, looking at their feet or their defender's feet. You're not going to be able to see the feet or see the guy who's open or see the goal if your head is down or read your defenseman. So they're making the same moves. Again, their moves are going to look a little different as they come through them. And that's okay. My split dodge is different than Corey's split dodge, is certainly different than John's split dodge, but it allows you to emphasize keeping your head up, working on your splits, your swims, your spins, your right to right, your bull dodges, all your different moves as you kind of work through it, going down, and you can kick the guy's butt a little bit. So it's a nice little conditioning drill. You can see our boy from Long Island here, another one from Long Island, just working on their simple moves, and their leader or the follower behind them needs to keep their head up so that they can focus on what the move is and still see the slide, even though they're in that situation. There is no slide, but develop their dodges with their heads up.
Flip, I just want to emphasize something, which I think is really great. Not only having your head up, but having the urgency to keep your head up, because in that drill, if you don't get your head around, for example, on a roll dodge quick enough, you're not going to see what that next move is. And I think it just creates urgency. I think getting your head up is great, but to snap your head around and do it at a level that's a notch faster is a really cool concept to work on. That's what I love about that drill.
All right, cool. All right, so this next drill is just a dodging drill out of the low corners here. We got a cone here to start. We got a cone we're attacking as our dodger, and you can make either a double move or a single move. And then you can see we have a low island cone and a high island cone, depending on the move that you make. So you got to have a little backyard, envisioning your defender, reading what he might do. This is Chris Gray here coming out of a double move. You can see here on this one, he doesn't get his feet to the cone, but I don't need his feet to the cone. I think in our sport, what's unique is with your hands and with that 40-inch stick, 44 inches, whatever the rule is, right? You can reach and still create angle. And so here he finishes his stick head at the low cone. If you're going to do a single move, you're trying to get to the high cone, getting a release, you can work question marks at this high cone. You can work wolf shots, Jordan Wolf. See here, here's another double move. Kind of coming, getting his hands to the cone. He kind of shoots it a little late, right? But just working on separating themselves. Now we just work both sides here, and you can see again, they're just working, getting their footwork in, trying to work on different moves, saving their body a little bit. Again, we're playing from September to hopefully May, so you're trying to do your best to stay as healthy as possible for as long as possible. So it's a way to kind of avoid doing some one-on-one banging and work on some footwork, let the guys have some fun trying to score some goals. There's another little zing. Last drill here, so then you kind of develop it to the next state. We call this Gretzky. Still coming from the low corners, still working on our moves, but now we're throwing feeds. So this is actually all of our offensive guys, attack and midi, and you're going to work here. You're going to get to the island, double team comes, you're going to QB turn. This is Timmy Lay, 7-11 here, coming out of the QB turn, throwing that feed inside the grandma's house, right? And on the spar cone, again, getting high, coming out of that, throwing the skip, and trying to, make sure that we're working on both our reads, having our head up to the best of our ability, right? Working on our footwork, working on our different feeds and our different reads that we're going to have based on our offense. You can create this to work on any spots. You could throw it to the backside pipe. You could throw it to the same side step down. You can morph this as a part of your whole, depending on what your offense is. So something cool to look at, something unique and different. We like to think, at least. And another way, again, to still get some really good conditioning in, because you got to be in good shape to play against those mean guys with 6-foot poles. But you also got to make sure you're saving your body as you're going from, again, September to May, while you're still benefiting, working on some skills, the parts of your whole, and taking advantage of every second you have on the field.
Nice, Mike. What I really like about that, what I like about that last drill too, is you're working on feeds, like you said, are part of your offense, right? I think it's so important for guys to get reps at stuff that is actually going to come up in a game that might not be the most glorious thing. A step away skip pass isn't as fun as slamming the ball into the net when you work on finishing, right? But it's so important to your success. And I just think it's really important that you hit stuff like that when you do your drills.
Thanks, John.
No problem.
I agree with that. Well, it's good to have a little muscle memory to know like what to do with the ball. A lot of times when you guys, at your level, like the game is moving so quickly. And if you haven't like continuously repped like where the right looks are, a lot of times it's hard to make those right looks unless you have some special players on the offensive end, which I know you do have, and some of them are running around in that video. Sorry.
Yeah, he's not here anymore. All right. I got other special kids in there.
Of course you do. Timmy Lay, 7-Eleven, always open.
Yeah,
always open.
We're like 100% on Timmy Lay shout outs.
Yeah, Timmy Lay.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to tag him little IG post.
If he doesn't follow us, Timmy, you're not starting next year. All right, you're gonna have to earn it.
Wow. All right, you guys ready to pivot to some defense focus?
Let's do it. I love defense.
Yeah. Well, a little variety here. So I'm doing a couple on ball, couple off ball. So talking on ball, this is our mirror drill. Doesn't matter where we are in the field. We've got our guys working one-on-one. This is Bobby Johnson, an FLG product and Bayport's finest right here. What he's doing is he's the defensive guy. The offensive guy matched up with him, they're going to chop their feet. Now, as they open their hips, the O guy, kind of like a follow the leader here concept, Mikey. As the guy opens his hips, we have to open our hips in the same direction so that we could open up and run with that guy. So we're chopping, we're trying to open our hips the same way, and then that O guy has the license to then plant, make a move, and we've got to react and work to get our hands to his hips. We're probably a little bit high here, but you guys can see, here's another one. This is Anthony Contino, Kamsawagger, right?
Ooh, wow.
Mirror. And then his hand placement is pretty solid there, right? He's getting it down to his hips. I like to do it with no stick, really focus on our hand placement, really not rely on our stick on a drill like this. Then we'll take this drill and we'll move it all over the field. So now we're pretending that the goal is here where my cursor is. We do a little individual segment called Tour de Bronx, where I'll do 5 spots, 5 different techniques or concepts. This one on this day, the goal is here. So I set up with a bunch of cones. We're working on defending this wing. If the guy goes over the top, we're going to work on closing the gate. That's Bobby Johnson again. Good gate close there. I love it. We don't like to V-hold on the high wing. There's too much ground to cover below. Then there's a Canadian standoff right here. We've got Kelson Borisenko from Manitoba, Blake Lothian from the Hill Academy in Ontario. We'll see which province wins the drill here. And now this time, Kelson's going to go under, and my guy Blake, he's going to execute our trail to X technique, right? We don't want to over-pursue a guy who's going towards X to then get beaten over the top. So we'll have our guy challenge on a roll, pretty decent. Now we're working on the high corner, a little bit of the alley. All right, so same drill. They're trying to sweep over the top. We got to open up and run. This is a Long Island battle here. We've got CJ Mazzacci, also an FLGer from Plainview. CJ Sharp from West Islip. Again, working now going under, and now we got to prevent on a rollback here. You guys see that?
After that dodge, was CJ like, hey, coach, can I play offense now?
Yeah.
We recruited him to, it's like a 2-play offense and face off, but he said no to us. So
yeah, Mazzacci actually settled very finely into his defensive role. Sharp, we switched from offense to defense this year, and he considers himself a transition guru. He actually was awesome for us this year. He locked it down. Now, moving into the next phase here, this is kind of a 3-man progression. I know a lot of defensive coaches, myself included, have struggled to come up with, how do I work on off-ball defense? What are creative ways to come up with new drills, new concepts? So this is a drill we'll do a lot in free practice. I call it a 3-man progression, and we're going to work on slide technique and reading slides. Then we're going to work on our push technique, so as the 2 slide, and then we're going to wrap up with just trying to knock down passes. So I'm going to show you 3 clips of 3 drills that you can do in a 3-man group. So first, working on our slide technique. So we've got our dodger here, our crease offensive player here, and then our go, our guy that's responsible for sliding. Our go, his job is to read the posture and the body language of the dodger, right? So we're reading his shoulders. You see how his shoulders are not square to come downfield? They're still out. So we're going to read him. And as he takes steps towards me, I've got to take steps towards him. But once he fades, I've got to look back and find my guy. You guys see that? That's actually a pretty perfect technique there. Again, hesitating. All right, I got to go back and find my guy. My crease guy, he's got to move a little bit to keep us honest. And then when he squares his shoulders to go, that means we're going to execute a slide here. You guys see that?
I love that. That's great.
Cool drill. Yeah.
Let's see if we can do this with some volume. I'm going to shut up here. Cuse here. He's a New Jersey guy. He's the man. Let's hear his volume.
There we go. Hey, suck. Yeah, I'm back. Hey, suck. Yeah, I'm back. Fire.
Good talk.
Now, 3-man progression, where this is a different clip, but again, a 3-man drill. So now our offensive guy is dodging, kind of working between these cones. We call this cone Steve. He's our slide guy. So we talk to Steve. He's the slide. Then we've got our backside offensive guy and our 2 slide we call our push because he's pushing the go. What we're working on here is communicating with Steve while still having an idea of where our man is on the field, right? You can't just push and stare at the ball and stare at our slide guy. You've got to see your man on the backside. We call it the happy feet drill. You got to have happy feet, have a little bounce in your step so that you can get out on an approach if your guy gets it, or fill inside on a slide recover situation. So here, again, you see our head turning. And then on the pass, we got to get out, approach, break down, and be ready to play some defense.
That was a good rep. His body positioning kind of like moves with his head too, which I really like. Because like when you talk to Steve, right, you're not going to like talk to him without kind of peeking your head in there. And then if you have to see your man, like you're going to have to turn your body in order to see your man too. So I like how they work together, like his head and his body.
And a big part of it is our off-ball guy. He's got to keep us honest, right? So he'll work down to work out of his sight line. So we've got to open our hips up to see more and then get out on an approach and play some defense. This is Kelson. I know you guys asked me about stick in, body out. He's experimenting here a little bit with crosshand, which I don't love, but we'll let him do it. Same drill. And then the last part of the progression of the 3-man is we're just working on knocking down passes. This is our guy on the backside, just knocking down some passes. Again, having our hips open so we can see both and getting our stick in a lane and trying to knock down passes here. But that's kind of our off-ball progression there. I like kind of being able to say, hey, you 3, you're going to hit slide technique and slide recognition. You're going to hit push technique and moving your feet and your hips and your eyes. And then lastly, just working on getting your stick, knocking down some passes while you're in the middle there.
Yeah, I love the progression too. It's a lot like, just the offensive side of things. Let's dodge the score and then let's dodge the feed. And there's, the counterpart to it, the Penn, like we've always talked about, last guy with the Penn, and working on that progression of sliding, seeing both nuggets. Awesome, John. Creative. Well done.
I like how you need 3 dudes and you can do it anywhere. You can do it in a grass field. You can do it, obviously you guys are doing it all over Gaelic Park. You can probably do that in the bleachers. Your boys are so good at it. So I think that's really, really applicable to really anyone who wants to get better defensively in those concepts.
And honestly, you could do all of those drills with the exception of the knockdown without a stick if you really didn't want to do it with a stick, right? You could still communicate slides and turn your head and have bouncy feet. You could do it on a basketball court. You can do it anywhere with no stick. So I do think those are really, really important skills that guys are working on at the next level.
Next level, me? Should we watch the next level?
Yeah, let's get to it.
You just kind of took the words out of my mouth, and that's okay because
wow, the band's back. The group's back.
We're a team here.
Oh, well, let's watch the team from the next level, at the next level. Let's dial it in. We figured we would start with one of the greats out there. I mean, we've been showing Sowers. We showed a little Chris Gray, or at least we talked about him a lot. We might as well get our man Grant Ament. Now, how do we pronounce it? Which one?
How do you pronounce that?
I think it's a mint, but I'm not 100%.
Me either, but we're going to have to get him on the show and find out. So, how you doing? How you doing, Grant? So, he catches the follow here, which is silky. Great handle. And then what I love about this is as he kind of like backs out, it's like, oh, all right, you want to square me up? Great. Here we go. Two-way go. Defender does a really good job forcing him underneath. Grant tries to take him to the weight room, and the kid says, no thanks, no dice. Coming to X, up, coming in front of your face, up. I'm sorry, I'm just really good. Ooh. Oh, man. We want that save probably, Coach, but silky. Oh, yeah. What do we got?
Gio, I just want to touch on that offensively, if you don't mind. Like, he does a great job there, just kind of letting the pressure and, letting that push from that defenseman just work for him, right? Like, if you have a fadeaway shot in your arsenal and you get to a great spot in the field where you're in range and a guy pushes you, like, get a shot off around him, use him as a screen a little bit, get it to a good spot. And that's how you can score some goals where, like, I'm sure, I don't know if that's Thornton on ball, but he probably turned around and was like, okay, like, good for you. That was a pretty sick shot right there. I don't know what else I could have done.
But, right. For 13-13, 8 minutes and 15 seconds. For those of you who were wondering, there was a face-off, but John said he's going to cut it out anyways. So we won't edit this now, people, because we're playing. All right, let's see it. Nice switch.
The ball never gets sticky. It's never sticky. Penn State stick.
I was just about to say the same thing. Wow, we're banned. We're back.
Let's go.
Yeah, Coach Tambroni does a great job. Upstate roots, Hobart, how you doing? My father's an alum, how you doing? So I feel like the statesman. Silky. We worked at this at youth practice last night. Oh, way. Casual.
I love that hedge by that Penn defender right there. That was awesome.
Yeah, great point.
Right? Hedge. And as soon as he steps away, I'm going to go back and find my man. This is great. And that guy's guarding Mac O'Keefe, so he's a brave soul being willing to hedge there.
I was about to say, he can score from, the sideline.
Yeah, if he was on a Manhattan scouting report, it would say, we'll shoot it from the bookstore.
Oh, wow. Well, here it is, Coach.
In the book, just so you know, Franklin Field, if my memory serves me correct, is on 33rd Street. I think the bookstore is on 36th Street in Chestnut. He could probably score from there.
Well, I'll tell you what, J.O., we probably want him in the lane here with the bookstore assassin coming downhill. Jeez.
That borders on a free double there, right? You got to prioritize Mac O'Keefe, who wakes up and scores goals, over the midfielder that was outside of him, at least temporarily there.
So as we get this here, Penn, 10-man ride, right? Ivy League, like everyone, let's 10-man. Nice outlet. Head up. Oh, this is a problem. We got to get in off the backside. Like immediately, rule set. We do this at BU as well. Anytime it's one-on-one and this kid's got a head of steam, you guys need to be running into the crease, into the hub, whatever you call it, the paint, or else you run into situations like these, and it's a how you doing? Turn and rig.
Well, Mike, as a 10-man ride team, you could talk a little bit about how deflating that can be. Obviously, going in as a 10-man ride team, you're going to give something up eventually, but those can be deflating.
Yeah, totally deflating. And the only thing I would add to this, if you wanted to run a 10-man, he should be much more aggressive coming laterally, because actually, the Penn kid does a really good job forcing him to his backer, or whatever you're going to call it, so we can get this double team, because we got some help from the attackman over the top, which should allow him to cheat in, both of them, because we got 2-on-1 here. We got 2-on-1. We should be in a good spot. And this is always like a goalie's nightmare when you're coaching this. And our kid Joey does the same thing. It's like, Joe, stay on him.
Right.
Like if this kid wants to shoot this for 40 yards with 2 guys on him, God bless him. Like we'll take that. That's part of, playing the 10-man ride, the risk reward to it. But by leaving them, you're
once
just
it gets there,
giving them.
Yeah.
It's like, no thanks. I'd be screaming at Joe. Joey!
I like how when Silipo was talking about Joe, he put his fingertips up. He's like, Joe, come on, stay on the deep attack, man, every time.
I do. My fiance makes fun of me all the time. She knows that like I'm an idiot, you know. She's it's beautiful though. She's starting to do it.
That's
great.
great.
She yelled at me the other day because I probably did something stupid, and she went like this. So all right, here we go. Penn, Coach Abbott, gonna have to get him on. Upstate product.
Oh, that guy can coach.
He can play too. He's nasty at Cortland State. Abbott, how you doing?
Not surprised.
Yeah, he was nasty. Oh, and they run a lot of the 4-2 stuff as well. Interesting here. I love it. Real deep back here. Yeah. Oof. That's a reset. Yep. We got it.
It almost looked like, Mike, the Penn's pretty content to make that just a 4-on-4.
Yeah, well, it totally. Because of how deep they are, I'm with you. And what's interesting is Penn State was kind of playing their guys behind. Now they're coming above the cage a little bit. But even on this little sweep, and he's the next follow in this sequence, like you got to be ready to take him because it doesn't look like he is, and this could be an easy dump. I do want to wonder, like, what do we got over here? Is it Family Day at the not Penn State game?
They're just letting anyone off the street to come watch them lax?
Yeah, and out of the bookstore, get him there.
That's the pass you guys are working on right there.
This is it, Coach Abbott. Did you steal this? You come to our practices. I'm sure he's got his own version. What a great coach. But silky, nice big little here. Yeah. Here's the two behind here, John, like you've talked about.
Penn State hugging up.
One more. Yeah, let's play. I love this. We talk about this all the time. As you exchange this here, just bring him to the ball.
Right.
Because, he might communicate pick. He might look for it, but then you're kind of allowing yourself to either get under or over, depending which way the Dodger goes, to set yourself up as a follow. You might bait a slide. I like it.
Oh, they got a little adjacent rotation there.
Oh, man.
That go in?
It went in, Coach. Hate to see this.
That's a tough spot to double because you're able to feed a guy that's in a pretty dangerous position, right? You go on the double here. This guy stepping into that space is not great for the defense, right?
Who was the kid in the drill, Coach? Bobby Rushton, the kid from Jersey. I can't remember his name. Where he should be communicating here. Go, go, go. What's his name?
Bobby Rushton?
There's
Bobby Johnson.
Yeah, they put them together.
Both legends, so it doesn't matter to me.
This is your funnel one-on-ones right here, Core, right?
That's it.
Kind of gets into them, creates the contact, nice little hand exchange.
That's it. I love using that contact down that alley just to create that separation and get a good shot off to a pipe. He's a little wide.
Not only separation, Coach, I think you create better angle for yourself. Talk to me here, John, because I'm stressing out for you.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Mac O'Keefe is one of the best goal scorers in the country, right? So what I don't love here and what we saw in the previous goal is they're kind of putting him on an island with this defender. I would like to see one of these inside guys, Mike, if you could highlight that guy and the other guy. Now, for us, a lot of times we'll slide from the backside crease, depending on if a team is like a mirror team with the ball side guy, right? So I would like to see whoever their slide guy is kind of stay with this and make Mac O'Keefe a little bit of a passer here. Right. So, Mike, if you run this and he goes under, freeze, this is a really hard place to feed from right now as a very left-handed attackman. So I would like to see that guy on the crease, the low crease, Mike, if you could highlight him again. I'd like to see him be sideways and take one or two steps towards this, potentially thinking slide. Then the backside guy touches man like our happy feet drill we watched before with CJ Mazzacci, and basically make Mac O'Keefe either roll away and throw a lob ball over everybody, or, maybe they'll throw a backhand flip, try to throw a backhand skip flip to the backside wing with that top guy crashing down too, like you just put your cursor on him, Mike. I don't love leaving one of the best scorers in the country on an island where he does a lot of his work.
He's probably going to throw it around the world to the backside skip, just knowing Syosset, Mac O'Keefe, like how you doing on the island. But he's behind the cage. It's not Grant Amon.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call him Grant until we learn how to say – until you get on the show, Grant, you're Grant. But, like, can we get him above the cage here so that, because he's –
Can we get him ball side? I'm a ball side pipe guy.
Yeah.
Can we get him ball side? If he's standing ball side.
Right. Well, and it's like, let's let him walk in and finish here. I mean, again, I'm sure Coach Murphy, who is an awesome head coach, is probably not too happy about the effort on that finish there, but –
You said it, Mike. I'm sure there's a reason why they're playing it that way, but –
True. Yep, good point.
If I'm Manhattan College playing that, we're sending help to Mac O'Keefe.
Let's see what we got here.
Good spacing.
Great spacing. Coach Ab, I watched a game of his the other day, and they do a really, really good job of creating awesome space between these four guys, which, again, you can kind of see where they're like, all right, we'll let us play 4 on 6, and we'll still create. Wow, this is silky. Top center dodge. We have the same rotation here.
We do that. Coach Kelleher runs this with at Manhattan too. He's pretty tight with Coach Abbott. But what I love about that, Mike, is that possession schematically felt way different than the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because it's the exact same offense, which is why 42 is life. That is.
You run that back, Mike. That deserves another look.
A replay.
Is that you know who it is?
Yeah,
it's Grant.
It's Grant. Look
Grant.
at that. Oh, hide on. Hey, watch the tiptoe.
I love it. Just keep running.
Yeah, sick.
That's awesome.
Well, actually,
but you're up by 1 late in the game, and you need your dude to come up with a play like that.
Yeah, he's a dude. I've always been interested in what Tambro runs, Coach Tambroni. I've always thought it's a little 5-1 action, old school West Jenny, Mike Masser, just coming at you a little differently, hitting the same spots, but again, the spacing is different but similar in terms of the spots they're hitting, but awesome clear through, giving great space, downhill.
They're doing a great job too, Mike, if I look at that from like a defensive scope of mixing up who the crease guys are. It's not always the same guys, right? Like they're making the defense react constantly to new information. Right,
and you can see the goalie's asking about it on this clear through here. He's talking to them after, wondering like who was up, Yeah, great point, John. Penn State up
by 2,
under 2 against not Penn State. So interesting here.
What's going to happen here?
I don't know, but our boy Grant's got the ball. And this isn't a chirp at Grant, but he's been held scoreless this quarter. But my man just came up with 2 huge plays. And Warner's some respect here.
Which with the shot clock, if you're Penn, you can get the ball back without the clock running out on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great point. Oh, we got a little body bag here. A little extracurricular.
Yep.
Grant is not happy about it.
Ooh, did you see that butt end?
Retaliation.
Right there.
Oh, we got it.
That's
how we got the flag.
That's a tough one because you're up with the ball, minute 12 left, and now the opponent gets the ball and man up.
Oof. I'm sure he's a great kid. I'm sure Tambroni also gave it to him, but guys make mistakes in the heat of the game. Things get emotional. Things get hot and heavy when it's Penn State versus not Penn State.
And if you're Penn, you need a quick one, and you get it.
Great off-ball positioning from that lower red attackman. His left foot is on the crease. You can't be in a better spot, and he's about a yard above goal line. So when he catches this, all he has to do is turn his hips on cage, and you're ready to fake the goalie out, shoot around him.
I also love
Corey, is this where you were? Is this where you were in the 3-3? Are you the no-look guy right here to the pipe? Or?
I migrated from top center to low right because I didn't have much range. So once we got some better shooters in the lower recruiting classes, they bumped me down, which was a bad thing for me.
I love how you say you migrated down. That's nice. Good language.
I didn't say graduated because I probably got – it was a demotion. It's all right. It's
Corey used to have a good, double skip, sidearm bouncer that he liked to fling at the net from deep.
You got to work with what you got, John.
All right, so Penn, back to it. Still man up.
Oh, we're locked in, Coach. Wow, yeah, we're not happy about it. Oof. Well, here's to your point right now, like what you just said before with the great spacing. Once this ball touches here, my man, get into this space so we can create better spacing on the backside here.
I think you can really stress out Penn State here because they're trying to 4-man this, not 5-man a 3-3. I think 4-manning a 3-3 is very challenging.
Yeah.
I agree. We run the same Aussie type of 3-3 where we stay tight to the pipe, and if you're playing a 4-man, you're in trouble.
And we're tied.
Wow. Let's watch the bookstore fans go crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Mechanics on that shot was textbook.
Yeah, great release.
Great release. All right, folks. You don't get to watch anymore. You know why? Because we need Mr. Grant on to watch overtime. Can't say his last name until he comes on.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, am I wrong, or you tell me?
Yeah, I'm good. I think once he comes on the show, we can kind of see what happens in overtime from his perspective.
I think Corey's also afraid of what might happen to not Penn State in overtime. Maybe.
Good point.
Maybe.
Good point.
Jo, you always know. You always know what I'm thinking.
Well, as a D coach, you got to have plans A, B, and C ready. So
You got to get inside of the head of the enemy there. But
That's right. That's right. Like Coach Sinalpo said, you got to have contingencies for contingencies. The coach to me.
Yeah.
Corey, take us home, man.
Yeah, Corey, It's great to have you back.
yeah, guys, thanks for welcoming me back. It feels really good. You guys threw some compliments my way. You boosted my morale. I needed that. I know it was a little emotional today. I apologize. It's a lack of sleep and proper nutrients. I'm trying to get back on back on a little routine, which is much needed. But this was good. This was positive. A lot of drills. But they got me excited. I don't know if there's any other lax people out there that are going to be as excited as us, which I guess that remains to be seen. We'll be putting them out there on our Instagram page. If you don't follow us already, back it up lacrosse. You can find us there. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. We're getting Mr. Grant, I meant on, hopefully in the future. And until next time, we'll see you guys soon.